Hey, horror fans. Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to review the latest entry into the Omen series. Yes, it's the prequel, The First Omen. Oh no, here we go again.
Y'all ready for this?
Hey, horror fans. Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty. Now, The First Omen is a 2024 American supernatural horror film. It was directed by Arsaka Stevenson. I think I pronounced her name right. It was written by Araska Stevenson, Tim Smith, and Keith Thomas, based upon the characters created by David Seltzer. Now, the film stars Neil Tiger Free, Tafik Barhum, Sonia Bagra, Ralph Ineson, Nicole Ceres, and Bill Nighy. Now, in this film, a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. Oh no, goddamn conspiracies. Now, you know, horror fans, when it comes to horror films, one of the premise filmmakers like to use in their story is religion. Now, most horror fans may point to 1973's The Exorcist, and while that film does include religion in the story, it kind of falls more into the possession exorcist subgenre. There's other films like The Exorcist of Emily Rose and The Rite, they all have religion in it because we have priests, we have parishioners, but it mainly always falls into there's a possessed person in there and we have to perform an exorcism in order to rid them of the demon. So yeah, that even though religion is in that particular aspect, it's not about fully religion as opposed to the films I'm going to be talking about or with the First Omen. Horror films such as The Reaping or The Seventh Sign or The Black Coat's Daughter are good examples of horror films where religion is the main premise of the film. It's not really about a possessed person and the exorcist has to be performed. It has mainly to do about confronting some type of evil, whether there's some demon involved, or it could be something about where there's a battle between good and evil, and some demons might be involved, and somebody might actually give birth to a child that was made by a demon, but it's not the possession exorcist films. No, of course, the most popular horror film that uses religion as the premise is, of course, the Omen film series. Now, the series was consisted of, at the time, 5 films. It involves a boy named Damien Thorne, who is later revealed to be the Antichrist. The Antichrist, he's supposed to be there and at the same time, supposedly stop Jesus Christ's second coming. Now, the first 3 films, The Omen, Damon Omen 2, and Omen 3, The Final Conflict, shows the series as Damon as first a young boy, a teenager, and then a grown man who gains in power and wealth from his adopted family, the Thorns. The fourth film, called The Awakening, it kind of involves Damon's daughter, Daya, who is supposed to be his successor as a new Antichrist. Not a lot of people didn't like that particular film, and it was a direct-to-TV film. It just came out of nowhere. Obviously, somebody thought that we needed a fourth film after the events that took place in Damon Omen 3, The Final Conflict. So I guess they thought this was supposed to be in there, but no one really everyone kind of forgets about this film. The fifth film is a shot-for-shot remake, basically telling the same story as the original 1976 film did. Now, I do admit the kid that plays Damon in that particular film, he's definitely creepier looking as opposed to the cute kid that played Damon in the original 1976 film. That's the only good thing I liked about the film. That's why I don't like it when remakes do shot for shot. You want to be able to tell something different. But all this is just the same thing that we saw in the 76 film. So it was quite surprising when it was announced that a 6th film was being made and that the film would be a prequel to the original 1976 film. Wow, they went there. So American film director Akarsha Stevenson brings us the latest entry to this series, the prequel called The First Omen. Now, taking place in Rome in 1971 during the civil rights protests, we're introduced to Margaret Diano, who is here to take her vows at the Venetian orphanage. Now, after meeting the abbess, Sister Sylvia, Margaret meets a young artist girl named Carlita, who is shy and really doesn't interact with the other girls in the orphanage. What's wrong with her? Later on, she and Carlita form a bond, as it seems that Carlita is having the same issues that Margaret had when she was at the same age as Carlita. Because as we learn, she basically grew up in the church as an orphanage, had some issues, the same thing that Carlita is having, so they have some type of bond together. Now, as the film progresses, strange events take place around Margaret as she then learns about a terrible conspiracy surrounding the orphanage and the possibility that Carlita could be used to be the birth mother of the Antichrist. Oh no, can't trust anybody these days. While looking at this film, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people might have asked themselves this question, well, wait a minute, didn't the first film say that Damon's mother was a jackal? I mean, we do see that in the original film, when I think it's Robert Thorne and his Finn are going into the graveyard looking for Damon's birth mother, and then we dig up the grave, it's a little jackal animal. It's looked very disgusting that's what they found there. So it's like, I guess they decided to make that change. Now, yeah, it's obvious that the filmmakers are retconning that part of the story, and overall, despite that, they actually created a very decent horror film. I really did enjoy this film. I mean, first off, the film looks and feels like the original 1976 film did, with that gloss like cinematography that it had. And they definitely take up areas in Rome where the film was shot. I mean, the film just looks very authentic. It looks like it was filmed back in how the 70s were filmed. You really got to give you know, Stevenson and her team credit about how well made and how decent this film looks. I mean, at certain times, there are places of joy and happiness in the orphanage. We see the girls playing around, they're having a good time. When we see Margaret is having fun with the kids, they're there. But there are also dark and dreary places, which is a nice way of setting the tone for the film because despite all the joy and happiness that we see they have in the film and Margaret's having in the film, there are also very dark places that are happening. There are dreary places that they're happening. And as the film progresses, we know that there's some secret that's there in the orphanage. No, I really did like the story of the film as Margaret starts to learn the conspiracy that's taking place and the reasons why. Because when you're looking at the film and what's happening, it does make sense given the events that are taking place in Rome right now and some of the stuff that Ralph Innocent's character, Father Brennan, says to her right around the second act of the film. Now, I'm sure some people will complain that certain scenes that happen in this film come right from the original 76 film, especially the beginning of the film. But for me, it kind of added more to what's happening to Margaret and Carlita. It's like this okay, yeah, we saw that happening in the first 1976 film, but to me, it actually has more of an impact what's happening to the characters in the film as opposed to even in the remake, which actually did the same things here, it kind of has more impact. Now, Neil Tiger Free, known for her performance in the Apple Plus TV show Servant, which I really did enjoy, is wonderful as Margaret, a woman beaming with pride as she is about to take her vows and devote her life to God. She's very happy. She runs into the cardinal that raised her when she first discovered when she was a little girl. She's happy. She's there to take her final vows, and she seems to be happy. She's ready to devote her life to God. She's also a very determined woman, going out of her way to protect Carlita, especially when she learns of the plan that the conspiracy has for her. And I really thought that was great. There's some nice bonding scenes between her and the actress that plays Carlita. I forget her name, but they have some good bonding scenes. I like some of the stuff that she has for her and Ralph Nelson when they try to figure out what's going on with the church or the orphanage and what role they're playing into this conspiracy. I thought all the actors and actresses did a fine job in all their roles. Speaking of the plan, there's a twist that happens that I saw coming a mile away, but it makes sense. It didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. Some people might notice that happening due to some of the events that take place in the film and says, oh, so that's really going to happen. And to me, it really didn't take away my enjoyment of the film because, like I said, story-wise, if you're going to have a twist in the film, it has to make sense. It's not something that's sprung on last minute and it's like, wow, that just came out of nowhere. Here, the twist does make sense. Now, we get some very disturbing images throughout the film. We get some body horror that takes place in the third act of film. And it's all done very well. There's no real jump scares that happen. We're not, but befuddled with so many images that take place. Use some very good practical effects that I thought were very well, and of course we get that awesome theme song that really drives home what's happening in that particular part of the film in the third act. It's like, oh yeah, this film's going there. It really ups the stakes when that theme song plays on that part of the film. So again, you must really give Arsaka Stevenson and her team credit for making an incredible and fascinating horror film. I really did enjoy that particular film. I mean, not only is it dark and disturbing, it's very well acted. I love the story, and it kind of adds more into Damon's story, which I will probably have many horror fans talking about where the series can go based upon what happens at the end of the film and what happens at the film and what happens at the end of the film. It's like, wow, this really can't be the end. There's got to be more that's going to be happening here. So I'm going to give the first Omen 4 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Yes, I really did enjoy this particular film. Possibly will be on my top 5 best horror films so far this year. So that's 2 in a row. We have Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. We have this particular film, The First Omen. So after a kind of a slow start, we're starting to get some decent horror films. I'm hearing a lot of people also enjoying Immaculate. I have not seen that particular film yet, but if it's good as this particular film, the horror is definitely striking back after a slow start. So there you have it, fans. That is my review of The First Omen. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share. It really helps out with that YouTube algorithm. What you thought about The First Omen? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Leave your comments in the comment section below and tell you thought about The First Omen. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way we notify anytime when I put up new videos such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember that horror rules. Ha 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 ha. And I'll see you in my next video. You guys stay safe out there.